Hey, everybody, and welcome to Key Conversations for Leaders. I'm your host, John Ryan, and today we have a very special guest, Jude Charles. Jude started his company as a teenager. He is a brand strategist, filmmaker, and speaker. For almost 15 years, he's been helping purpose-driven 7-figure and 8-figure entrepreneurs to bring their stories to life through documentaries and videos. Welcome to the show, Jude.
John, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here as well. And I want to ask you, I know that you help people and just in talking a moment ago, that you work with a very selective group of people, like only, 4 to 5 people a year, and you help them tell their stories. Can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Sure. So I have always been in love with storytelling since the age of 8 years old. As an 8 year old, I wasn't the kid that was outside playing basketball or football. I wasn't even the kid inside playing video games. Instead, I would lock myself in my room after school and I would write stories. I would write so much that I ended up writing books, 11 books in all, 11 100-page books. And these books were what I thought my future life would look like. So at one point, I wanted to be a police officer. So I wrote The Police Life of Jude Charles. Another time, I wrote The Baseball Life of Jude Charles because I had just read the Jackie Robinson story. And I was like, okay, what is it going to be like to be a baseball player? Like, what if I want to do that? Um, but it's just this fascination with what could really happen in the future, right? And so fast forward to I'm 17 years old and I'm in a TV production classroom. Um, and this teacher, Mrs. Donnelly, took a liking to me and she taught me everything that she knew about video production. And then on May 4th, 2006, she looks at me and she says, Jude, you're really talented at this video production thing. I think you should start a business. And at the time, I didn't know anything about starting a business. I was 17 years old. Not only that, I am the youngest of 10 children. My father was a construction worker. My mother worked at a chair factory.
Wow.
So there wasn't any blueprint for that. But the following day, May 5th, 2006, Mrs. Donnelly comes into the classroom and she hands me a yellow envelope. I'm like, what is this? And she's like, open it up, look at it. And when I open the envelope and I look inside were my first set of business cards. May 5th, 2006, I'll never forget the day. That's the day that I became an entrepreneur. That's the day that Mrs. Donnelly gave me the courage to say that you can do this. And there's no reason not to. And so that's what started my journey. Now, the first 5 years of business were brutal because I didn't really understand, again, what it meant to be an entrepreneur, how to sell myself, how to market myself, how to get paid the right amount for the value of work that I was creating. But it wasn't until 2011 um, I woke up to the sounds of chains hitting the floor, 7 a.m. And it jolted me out of bed, and I ran outside because I knew what the sound of chains were. I had heard them before. They were the sounds of a tow truck driver coming to repossess my car for the second time in 8 months.
Hmm.
And I went outside, I ran outside, I pleaded with him, like, please, please, just don't act like you haven't seen the car. Just give me one more week. Of course, he had a job to do, so he took the car. And I remember walking back inside and I sat on the edge of my bed saying, you know what, I've given it a good 5 years. It's time to, hang it up and say, like, I've tried. I started at 17. I got started early, didn't know what I was doing. I need to just take a different route here. And about 30 or 40 minutes of just sitting on the edge of my bed, I get a phone call from a client that I had been working with for a year. Her name is Keisha Dior. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to pick this up right now because I'm not in the right headspace to be talking to a client. But for one reason or another, I decided to pick up the phone. And, you know, I can hear Keisha's excitement on the other line. She's like, Jude, you won't believe it. You won't believe it. I'm like, what happened, Keisha? And she's like, I've been doing this business for a year and It's been 12 months and I just got off the phone with my accountant and he's just told me we crossed over the seven-figure mark. So for context, Keisha Dior is running a cosmetic business, selling colored lipstick, blue, purple, green, yellow lipstick. They weren't popular back then. But in 12 months, she was able to take this documentary that I had given her, leverage it, launch her business and leverage it in order to make $1 million, in order to get, a large amount of people to pay her $1 million. And here I am in the same moment struggling for 5 years to make at the very least $20,000 to $30,000 a year. That moment was a light bulb that I need to get out of my own way. There isn't any difference between me and Keisha Dior outside of she understood how to market her product in a way that would get people to buy. And so that started me on the journey of doing documentary series for entrepreneurs. This is what you led to. And I wanted to give you the full background of that, but that's my story. Like I started as a 17-year-old kid. I struggled for the first 5 years, but ultimately it was because of what I got to see behind the scenes from a client that helped me transition and truly excel in my business almost 15 years later.